This is Jessie Ledoux, Miss International 2013, Class of 2010. You're listening to WICR.
And good morning, everybody. Ian Sachs here. Robert Bancardo, The Morning Mix. Hello, everyone, and welcome.
What's up, guys? Great morning today. Ian, it's not that cold out today. Spring is coming towards us. I mean, we have a couple snowstorms this week. But
if you consider a week with 3 snowstorms heading to spring, then sure, go for it.
Ian, I'm so fed up with the snow, and I told my father the other day, I don't know how I enjoyed it as a kid. This snow is just terrible. Now it's like you grow up and you understand why our parents hated shoveling it so much, and now we do it. It's terrible.
You know what? I've frequently thought to myself, I want to move to the south or a warmer weather so I don't have to put up with the cold and the snow anymore. This winter, 100% confirmed that. And you know what? Now I'm thinking when I start looking for jobs next year, anything above the Mason-Dixon line is out.
Yeah, Ian, I think I want to go to Florida. Florida or Texas. Nice and warm weather all year round. I mean, Florida's taking a hit this year. I've heard from people the weather's dropped to about 30 degrees some nights. But I want hot weather year round. I'm thinking maybe Texas.
Well, you see, the thing is, with Florida, you have to be concerned with hurricanes in the summer. So that's one big drawback with Florida. I mean, they get hit with hurricanes. You know, we hear about the hurricanes sliding up the East Coast here in New York, but when you're in Florida, they're making a beeline for the coast, and really, I mean, that's why the University of Miami is nicknamed the Hurricanes. They're not nicknamed the Snowstorms; they're nicknamed the Hurricanes. So you have to put up with the hurricanes down there. So that's why Florida would not be the most ideal for me. Texas, I feel like it's just hot and dry, a lot like Arizona and New Mexico right near it. For me, Southern California, San Diego in particular, I've heard is ideal weather. I'm thinking 60s in the winter, 80s, 90s in the summer. Ooh, that just sounds beautiful. No hurricanes, no snowstorms.
But chance of earthquakes, that's the only thing with Cali.
I'll take my chances.
Yeah, it's a great city over there. We got the Lakers over there. We got some great teams, the Kings, Clippers.
Oh, talk about my Kings, my LA Kings. That's what I'm talking about. I like the way you're thinking, Rob. I also like the Clippers. Chargers aren't too bad out in San Diego. So, I mean, yeah, I could get used to rooting for the California teams. The Dodgers are pretty high ranking in my pecking order. But anyway, that was a beautiful transition, Rob. We start talking about spring, and then we get on to baseball. And why don't we combine the two? Let's talk some spring training baseball.
Yeah, it's right here. Opening day in a few weeks, Ian. Can you believe it? This year has moved so fast. It felt just like the playoffs ended yesterday with Madison Bumgarner destroying the Kansas City Royals. That's the way to put it. The guy owned them from start to finish. Amazing MVP of the World Series, and now we're back this regular season. I want to see what's out of this guy this year. They talk a lot the other day. They were saying, "Oh, how's your arm feeling?" Because you know what? Are you scared of ever throwing out your arm? My arm feels great. That was his response. My arm feels great, and I just can't wait to see him pitch for the Giants this year. But 2 major teams we have to look at this year, Ian: New York Yankees and the New York Mets. New York Mets getting Matt Harvey back, and I mean, that's going to be great for them. We'll see how good his arm holds up. I mean, some key signings this offseason, Michael Kadire. I like the move. The only problem is he's injury-prone at times. He's a guy who could bat over 300, but he's 35 years old. I thought they would have gone for a younger bat. The other thing I'm really concerned about with the Mets is Flores at shortstop. The Mets need a real shortstop. They haven't had a guy like Reyes since he's left to Miami, and then he was traded to Toronto, and it's really been a killer position for them. But this Mets team, the talk is their pitching staff could probably help them get about 90 wins this year. I hope to see that they do well this year because Mets haven't been in the playoffs since 2006 when Carlos Beltran looked at a curveball right down the middle. And Just been crazy for this team.
You mentioned that the Mets and the Yankees, two teams we have to watch out for. I think definitely the Mets have a lot more of an upside and more potential this year. The Yankees, I think they might struggle to get 500 this year. I really do not like the way this Yankees team is looking. Mm-hmm. They look old. I don't think they have any go-to players that you're going to get a consistent performance out of. And really, I mean, you lose Derek Jeter, which now, granted, Jeter wasn't putting up his top numbers in the last season or two. Mm. But really, you're talking about one of the greatest players in franchise history, and just having him in the clubhouse every day is invaluable. And you're not going to have that. Finally, the era of Jeter and Rivera, Posada, Pettit, all of them, finally their era is over, and really there hasn't been anybody coming up in the Yankee system that you feel will replace any of them. And it's Mark Teixeira is injury prone. Alex Rodriguez is not going to do anything this year, and the Yankees just have an old decaying roster that seems to kind of just be put in place for the time being. And really, I don't think that the Yankees are going to be able to do much of anything this year and really contend at all. Whereas the Mets, I feel like, have a great chance. I don't think they're going to take the next level. I don't think they'll be right up there with the Giants and the Cardinals and the Dodgers and the Nationals as one of the 2, 3, 4 top teams in the National League. But I think that the Mets will definitely contend for at least a playoff position, looking at maybe a wild card. And hey, it wouldn't even surprise me if they sneak in to the wild card game this year. As you said, their pitching staff is phenomenal behind Harvey and Wheeler and DeGrom and Neese and who am I forgetting?
Bartolo Colon.
Colon, yeah, Colon is amazing.
He still got it. For an old man, a guy who still has some gas left in the tank, and he can still put up a 10-win season, 10 to 12-win season. He's phenomenal. I mean, going back to the Yankees, though, real quick, Ian, you talk about how their batting order is right now. We look at their pitching staff. That's what I'm really frightened about. Sabathia is coming back from that knee surgery. Said he gained weight because he felt that with less weight last year, he didn't pitch as well. I don't think he's going to have that great of a year. The guy can't hit the 90s anymore. He barely hits 90 miles per hour. Only way he's going to get better is if he learns how to mix up his pitches, get people with the off-speed pitches. Michael Pineda, oh man, I don't even want to talk about him. Part of our blockbuster trade for when we trade away Jesus Montero, and the guy looked really hot from the start last year, really pitched well. Then the Pine Tar incident. And then after that, injured again, 2 years with the injuries, real killer for the Yankees. And you look at it, it's like, who do you really go to next in the pitching staff? Yeah, we picked up Eovaldi from the Miami Marlins. Guy hits over 95 miles per hour. But, I mean, he's had a high ERA with the Marlins. He's had an ERA over 4. I mean, can he transition well to the AL? Because the AL is where all the best hitters are in the MLB. And the question is Eovaldi going to be a great pitcher over here? And this Yankees pitching staff, prepared. The Bronx will actually be burning this year because it's just been I'm so frightened with the Yankees. As a Yankee fan growing up, you get to see them basically torture every year. The division, in the playoffs, and now the dark days are upon us in Yankee Stadium.
And the frightening thing is, let's say the Yankees do put together, 90, 95 win season, which I really don't think is capable with the current roster, that is. But let's say they do. Rob, you mentioned the pitching staff. Let's say they make it to the playoffs. Pitching wins in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not going anywhere if they are lucky enough to make it to the playoffs, which, we've been saying this team, the way it's currently constructed, is definitely definitely not making it to the playoffs. But Rob, we were talking about it before the show. We were talking about probably, without a doubt, the biggest name on the Yankee roster, and that is Alex Rodriguez. Rob, you were reading me a funny little thing about him from today's Daily News, and why don't you share it? I mean, it was pretty funny. Rodriguez, he couldn't hit off of a pitching machine?
He went hitless. He went 0 for 2 versus a hitting machine. Now, what happens when somebody throws 95, 97 miles per hour to him? Is he going to strike out every time? Because, the other day, Ian, they were talking on the news, he was hitting the pitching coach, and they're like, oh, he's hitting home runs. Yeah, he's hitting home runs, but the guy's throwing only about 50 to 60 miles per hour. I mean, for an old man speed, that's pretty decent for him. A person who pitches that slow is somebody like Tim Wakefield, but Tim Wakefield's no longer with us. I mean, A-Rod, when it hits 95, are you going to be able to blast anything? Are you going to be able to even touch the ball? And just versus Iron Mike yesterday, really struggled. The Daily News has a little article here, the tail of the tape. Iron Mike versus A-Rod. Cost to the Yankees. Iron Mike is a pitching machine, guys. Iron Mike cost $3,000. A-Rod, $275 million. Runs Veston, Iron Mike Oil, A-Rod PEDs. Other nicknames, Jugs for Iron Mike, A-Rod cannot be said. Spring Task for Iron Mike train hitters, A-Rod apologize. Top Skill for Iron Mike, Suburb Control, A-Rod lying with a straight face. Way to recharge, Iron Mike new batteries. This for A-Rod, anti-aging clinic. Oh, it's about time. Iron Mike versus A-Rod, famous relative. Johnny Bench batter up, and for A-Rod, cousin Yuri, his steroid, his PD helper.
Oh, that's some great stuff there. And maybe the Yankees, they need a good pitcher. They throw Iron Mike in the rotation. A-Rod can't hit him, and he's one of the best, supposedly one of the best home run hitters out there. So, why don't put Iron Mike in the lineup?
Hey, with Iron Mike, look at it too, and you don't even have to worry about resting his arm like every other pitcher 5 days a week. Just put some oil in between innings, the guy's gonna be fine.
That's great. But yeah, that is a major concern for the New York Yankees, that Alex Rodriguez, not only, I think he's hitting 40 this year.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's going to be turning 40 this year, which, when you hit that age, you really start to see the decline of a player who, could have been healthy all along. And Alex Rodriguez not seeing a real live major league pitch in over a year, just getting back to that level is going to be so difficult. And then plus, not throwing on top of those factors that, steroid use, not only does it harm, your body and everything, but it breaks down your ability to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And, Alex Rodriguez, maybe he has a little tear somewhere, early in the season. Who knows how that's going to affect him the rest of the way?
Yeah, steroids is the worst. Look at him with all the hip injuries, Ian. That's not him injuring his hip. That's straight from the steroids. The steroids break down your body. And now, I look at this. This is the biggest problem in baseball. You talk about A-Rod's 40 years old. Ian, they are in the MLB, teams are giving away way too much money to these 40-year-old guys. They sign them, yes, these guys are in their prime. They sign them to these huge deals. Then it comes down to the end. You're paying $27 million to a 40-year-old guy who's probably playing till he's about 42 years old, $27 each year. He's making probably about $70 million out of that over those 3-year span. He's not going to be playing 162 games. Nor is he going to be productive, bringing in RBIs or home runs. And that's one of the biggest problems that teams need to start focusing on. You need to stop. MLB has to change this policy with the money. You know what? The Yankees are one of the biggest problems that started this whole thing, where they gave out players way too much money. Now we see guys like Kershaw, Giancarlo Stanton getting these big $30 million a year contracts. And, it's ridiculous. I'm sick and tired of it, because you know what? At the end, now it looks stupid on that team's part, because you're paying that guy $27 million to do absolutely nothing for your team because he's not playing in those 162 games, nor is he going to hit 20 home runs a year, nor is he going to bring in 100 RBIs a year. And you know what? It just plain out looks stupid for these teams.
That's a great point, Rob. And when you think about it, when these players sign these contracts, they're in the prime of their career. So obviously you think, oh, of course this guy, the last 4 years he's put up, a 300 average with 30 home runs and, 110 RBIs. And then you think, oh, 10 years from now, certainly he'll be able to do that. Even if he's a 280 hitter with 20 home runs and 80 RBIs, that's still good. But those numbers are, one, unrealistic for a guy who's 40. And two, just not going to happen. So these teams don't think about, what this player is worth in the here and now and don't realize how much they're going to be overpaying for what this player will be doing in, 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, it's all about now. That's all teams think about. You nailed it right in the head right there. It's all about now. That's all they think about. Oh, he's going to win me the championship. But in the end, is he going to play for you? That's the thing. In the end, he's going to kill your salary cap, and that's the biggest problem. You could have $25 million. You're paying that guy $25 million, and there could be another rising star out there who deserves the $25 million, and he's only about 26 years old. And, I mean, look at the Angels right now. Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton. I mean, Mike Trout, yeah, he got his big contract, but look at all that money over the last couple years that they threw to Hamilton and Pujols. Way too much money, especially Pujols, because ever since Pujols has come to the Angels, the guy's been on the decline. Hasn't had a 40 home run season, really has struggled with them.
And, we're seeing that more and more now. And Rob, you alluded to it earlier, that the Yankees started this problem. And look at where the Yankees are now. They haven't made the playoffs the last 2 years. And really, I think that this year's team is going to be the worst one of the last 3. Without a doubt. The last 2 years, the Yankees, I feel like, even though that they haven't made the playoffs, they've been a pretty solid team. I never really felt bad about the Yankees. I thought, they're not playoff material. They're not an elite team. But yeah, they're still a pretty good team, and we see that, winning 85 games a year. But now I'm thinking the Yankees are going to be lucky to get to 500, 81 and 81. And really, these other teams started to follow the systems you mentioned, the Angels, and you have to think that the Angels, being in a smaller market, not having the resources that the Yankees have, being so overspending with their money, you really have to wonder what their downturn is going to look like. And I think it could happen pretty quickly.
Oh, it most likely is, Ian. Look at Hamilton now. The guy had his relapse. The MLB had their talks with him. We haven't heard anything really if he's going to be suspended or not. That's real killer because he signed that big $125 million contract with them. Albert had a decent year last year, but his numbers you got to continue to see Albert decline on the list. I play fantasy baseball a lot, and Albert's always been a top pick of mine, and now it's time where he's kind of on the decline. So you got to watch where you pick him, maybe like a third-round player. Mike Trout's basically got to be controlling this team. It's Mike Trout's team now. Mike Trout is the face of baseball. He signed his big contract. He deserves it, though. The guy's only like 22, 23 years old. He won MVP. He lost the last 2 MVPs. Probably should have 2 MVPs by now. And that's a guy who you signed a big contract for because he deserves it. He's 22. You look at it, oh, man, it's a 10-year contract, I believe, or 6 or 7 maybe. In the end of the day, it's not really killing you towards the end.
Absolutely not. When you look at Trout, even say if it is a 10-year deal, I don't know the exact deal and the length of it, but even say if it is a 10-year deal, we're looking at this deal wrapping up when he's maybe 32, 33. He's still got, right in the prime of his career. Really, you think late 20s to 30s, 32, 33, that's not really removed from it. But when you sign these, 30, 31-year-old guys to the 10-year deals, that's where these teams are running into the problems. So definitely the Trout deal, it makes 100% complete sense from the Angels' standpoint. He's going to be one of the top 2, 3, 4 best players in the league for the next easily 6, 7, 8 years. So you definitely have to lock him up if you're the Angels. And that's exactly what they did. And really, they realized that they're building this team around him for the next decade.
Yeah, he is phenomenal. I mean, I'm pulling up his contract now, Ian. It's actually 6 years, $144.5 million. So, and when he's like 28, 29 years old, which is even better. Guy's still in his prime. I mean, Mike Trout, he is probably one of the best outfielders I've seen. I've never seen a guy who could blast home runs, knock in so many RBIs, pick up the stolen bases the way he does, bat over 300. This guy is phenomenal, and just him coming up in the league, just an amazing guy to watch, really content, and I really like his attitude, really positive guy, and just amazing. I can't wait to watch him continuing in the future. We had our Derek Jeter for our generation. This is this year's generation, Mike Trout, continuing on.
Mike Trout, certainly a five-tool player, the old slogan for someone who can field, hit, run, hit for average, hit for power, but so he's going to be phenomenal to watch, both this season and in the coming seasons, because I think you alluded to it perfectly, that he is going to be the face of this generation of baseball players. But Rob, we'll take a quick break and then jump over from baseball to college basketball.
Yeah, it's that time of the year, Mac. Baby, let's go.
WICR presents another